Joining us via Zoom is Simon Fenech. Simon, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Just talking to a very good friend of yours. She thinks the world of you, Jodie Tuckwell-Knight.
Yeah, Jodie's the best.
Well, she thinks you guys are most worthy, and the work that you're doing now is terrific. But she's so very proud of what they had to do at that time. You had just come out of prison, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And to take us through that opportunity you had to get your life back in order, and you went to what was the organisation called that Jodie was running at the time?
At the time it was called Wear for Success, but it's now called Ready Set.
That's right. So how did you find it? She said to me, from the minute you walked in, you realised that they were there to make you look good and make you feel fantastic.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I just come out of jail, and I was an opportunity had arisen where I was asked to speak at a corporate lunch in front of 480 people and tell my story about where I'd been. And where my life had taken me, and how I'd ended up in jail, and where I was today. But I was very nervous about speaking in front of those people because I still felt like a prisoner, because I never had nothing to wear. When I got out of jail, I only had the clothes on my back, basically. At the time, we were involved with White Lion, which is a charity, and White Lion introduced me to Wear for Success, and I met Jodie there, who was just this power of energy, just a magnificent lady. I met the volunteers there, who were just absolutely wonderful. They called me by my surname, Mr. Fenech, after coming out of jail, somebody calls you Mr. Fenech. I look behind me to see, hey, are you addressing me? And I was, I was greeted with the utmost respect. I was fussed over. I call it the pretty woman experience. Clothes were being thrown at me left, right, and centre. I was being, tailor fitted, and I walked out of there looking $1 million. I walked out of there with a suit, and I did not feel like a guy who had just come out of prison anymore. I felt ready to address these 480 corporates at their level, and I did, and I was very successful at that corporate function that day.
Well, let's fast forward. You've done more than that. You're working hard to pay back for that time behind bars. You've got an organisation now. Talk to us about that and what you're doing and how you set it up.
Yeah, so today I'm the operations manager of a non-for-profit social enterprise called Fruit to Work. Fruit to Work is a business that delivers fruit and milk to all sorts of workplaces. We work with people. Everybody that works at Fruit to Work has been touched by the justice system. So what we do is we create chances for guys and girls who have been touched by the justice system. We create transitional employment, where we help give the guys and girls skills that they've never had or have been very rusty with, and then we transition into full-time employment from here. So
it's the best and first example of a rehabilitation, and it's proving that there's an opportunity for you to move on from the boarding house, to feel like a worthy applicant, and to be part of society again.
Exactly. Look, when I came out of prison, it was extremely hard to get a job. In actual fact, in Victoria is the only state in Australia, or territory in Australia, where your criminal record lasts with you for life. So every job I applied for, as soon as I saw a criminal record, the door was closed on me. How are you ever supposed to better yourself as a member of society again, even after you've paid your dues, if every door closes on you? How are you supposed to get a job and pay tax again? How are you supposed to get your family back in your life? How are you supposed to put a roof over your head and not fall back into the prison system without being given a chance.
So it's more than stigma. It's like you're wearing this chain around your neck, and I notice there's one there now, but a different sort of chain, one that drags you down.
Yeah, but 100%. Not only the stigma, but it's the confidence. You know, it was a great feeling to be given a chance, to be given the luxury of being given the keys to a vehicle, and the luxury of being given a fuel card, the trust of being given a fuel card, you know, being able to wear a high-vis uniform again and receive a pay packet where you actually pay tax, you know, but being able to buy your kids Christmas presents and birthday presents.
Simon, what are some of the other encumbrances that make it even more difficult for people that come out of the justice system? They've been to corrections. They've whatever their crime is, they come out, and of course I think one of the first things you do, you're given a boarding room that you have to go through. Now I suppose some of the problem is that same old boarding room, isn't it?
Yeah. So for instance, for me, my issue was when I was released from prison, I never had anywhere to live, and jail had organised a boarding house for me. The boarding house that they had organised for me, when I knocked on the door, the lady had answered the door, and she was off her face on heroin. It was a drug den. The room, my room was absolutely putrid. It was a blood-stained mattress and base only. There was syringes on the carpet. It stunk of urine, and that was where I was supposed to start my new life. You know, how are you supposed to rehabilitate yourself or get back on your feet if the first place you're released to is a drug den?
I'm just wondering, I'm trying to think of a better way. Is that boarding house still functioning? Is that still playing a role for those people who are coming out of the corrective system?
Oh, 100%.
Wow.
And that's if you can get that boarding house. You know, I was very fortunate where you know, my brother drove me to that boarding house, and you know, and even we had boundaries where he said that I couldn't live with him, but even he said that I couldn't stay in that boarding house because it was that putrid.
Wow.
So a lot of men have the same problem, and that's if they've got a boarding house. A lot of men are just released straight onto the street. You know, how no wonder the recidivism rate is 45%. In the first 2 years of people released in Victoria go back to jail in the first 2 years.
Look, if
they haven't got a roof over their head.
I hear you. If we want to improve that rate of recidivism, we need to do something meaningful and something that's worthy. And from the story, from your perspective, that is incredible. That needs to be addressed ASAP. Have you spoken to people since you've made the transition into social enterprise and giving back in this community sector you're in now?
Yeah, 100%. Look,
are they listening, Simon? Are they listening?
Well, I think it's well known, but you know, like everything, it takes money, and I believe there has been some money allocated to housing, but it's a slow process. I mean, government housing. It's a 7-year waiting list for government housing.
That's too long.
Whether there's any change to that that's going to happen, I don't know.
Now, this organisation that you've been with, how long have you been with them now?
3.5 years.
3.5 years. If someone is part of the corrective service or the correction system is now coming out, how do they reach out to you? Are you looking for them to help them along the way, or do they have to reach out to you? How does it work?
Well, generally what we do is we go into the prison systems and we do an expo to let them know that, hey, there is life after prison.
Yep.
There are people like us that will give you an opportunity. Yeah, but we also go into places like corrections or a lot of these employment agencies and say, hey, you know, if you've got somebody that's got an offending background, we're willing to give them an opportunity.
Now tell me, are you ever required to go back behind the bars to provide an expo?
Yeah, I go back to behind the bars very often. Also, I speak to groups of prisoners, and I speak to prisoners one-on-one. I mentor guys that are coming out of prison and help them get their lives back on track.
That's fantastic. What do the corrective service officers say when they see you coming back?
Well, it's actually a first. It's been a first in Victoria to have a prisoner go back behind the walls. You get some very odd looks at times, but you know what? A lot of guards these days look upon you favourable when they see you doing good things. So it's a good thing.
Simon, thank you for reaching out and joining us today on this opportunity on The Informer. But rest assured, you've got some fantastic friends and also people who believe in you. And Jody Tuckwell Knight is just one of those. So as long as you've got people like that in your corner, you're in a good spot.
Thank you very much for having me.
All the very best, Simon.
Jody is the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good on you.